Is Harry Kane to Manchester City about to be a done deal? Yes, people, welcome back to 1894 for a brand new transfer update. Now, this is on our next transfer target for the summer, Harry Kane. We've got some big news. Let's bring it to you. Let's get into it. Okay, Joe, so as we all know, City have been pursuing Harry Kane since just before the Euros. They had a bid rejected, I think it was during the Euros, £100 million pounds was rejected by Tottenham. Levy has held the stance that he is not selling Harry Kane for any amount of money. I think originally he said 150 million, then it went to 160, and then he was like, nah, it's just not happening. But Harry Kane missed training, stayed on holidays for longer than expected. He made a statement saying he was allowed to stay on holidays for longer, or he wasn't meant to come back. It was just a big mess. And it seems like City have just been waiting in the wings to strike at the right time. And it's starting to seem like that tin of worms is beginning to open. I've got 3 tweets here to read out, which kind of summarise the news of today. The first is coming from Sam Lee at The Athletic. Man City believe a deal for Harry Kane will happen, and Kane himself is still determined to make it happen, although it remains far from certain. Now, that was the first tweet we got this morning, and everyone's going, okay, it's kind of not much more than we already know, but it's good to get something, isn't it? And then Jack Gaughan comes through with Man City and Tottenham have held talks this week over a possible transfer for Harry Kane. Man City, who declined to comment, valued the striker at around £120 million. It is thought a deal can be struck at that price with additional clauses included. That would make a lot of sense. I think it's a fair price as well. And then Gary Jacob here says, Man City are set to step up their pursuit of Harry Kane next week. Man City valued striker £120 million, add-ons, blah, blah, blah. Basically the same as what Jack Gaughan was saying. I think Fabrizio did tweet as well this morning saying City were preparing a bid of 150 million euros, which I think comes up to 127 million pounds if my maths is correct. And that would probably include a few add-ons as well, or there'll be add-ons on top of that. This is if Tottenham are willing to change their stance, according to Fabrizio. I think their stance is changing, or else has already changed. But before I give you all my own thoughts, Joe, what do you make of this latest update?
They're all similar rumours, so you'd imagine there is some truth behind it. You know, however much you want to believe, that is up to you to decide. Ultimately, I do think this will happen. It will pick up a lot more steam after we do play Spurs, because it's not happening before then. There's no chance of it happening before then. But the rumoured fee of that, 120 to 130, just, up front as a set base price without the add-ons is probably what it will be. I mean, loads of people saying that now. It's, you could add Ballon d'Or clauses and all this other stuff, goal bonuses if he breaks that record. So, I think it's just a lot of negotiating from here.
I think you're right. The main chunk of this transfer, the negotiations will happen post our game against Tottenham on the weekend. The game against Spurs, the opening day of the season, has probably come at, in terms of this transfer, the worst time possible. If we were to play Spurs in November, December, or even October, or even in 2 weeks instead of this Sunday, the deal could probably be done by maybe even now. But it just seems like, I just have a personal feeling, this isn't based off any sources or information, that Levy is just being spiteful, and he's refusing to let Kane leave before this game, because he's obviously petrified of Kane coming down to White Hart Lane and scoring a hat-trick against his former club within days of leaving them. But I think this is good. These are good updates, and £120 million. Yes, it would break our transfer budget or our transfer record once again, and it would break the English transfer record once again. But Harry Kane is arguably the best striker in Europe, isn't he? So I think in the current market, with the way players are going, Grealish for 100, Ben White I think went for 50 there a few weeks ago. Lukaku's just gone for around 100 to Chelsea from Inter. I think 120 is probably about right for Harry Kane, considering he's a multiple-time Golden Boot winner with a pretty average Spurs team. When you think about the amount of goals that he could score in this City team, it's pretty scary. I'd put money on him to break Alan Shearer's goal record. But in terms of hype for this transfer, I'm getting pretty confident. Now, I never really said in videos for Grealish about my own, I never said I think it'll happen or it's going to happen. We're always just kind of like, yeah, we're confident. But with this Harry Kane deal, I am pretty confident that this is going to happen. Joe, where do you stand?
Yeah, I have to say I'm slightly less confident about this one than Grealish, because Grealish's was a release clause, so it was slightly more straightforward. There wasn't as much negotiations, to be had with Villa at least. And we know how Daniel Levy operates in the market. He is incredibly stubborn. So I do still think it will happen because, you know, if Kane forces it, there's not really much Spurs can do from that point. You know, it's just a matter of time. I just think that that hurdle that we've got to get over is just the price. You know, how much of it is bonuses and how much of it is paid up front.
Just based off today's updates, it is a positive indication that City seem to be willing to pay closer to what Tottenham originally valued Kane with. Obviously, we said at the very start of this kind of transfer saga, back as far as when the Euros were on, whenever we made our first couple of Kane videos, or our first Kane video, that when they said 150 or 160 million, whatever it was, they were just setting the ceiling. They were setting the bar at what the highest it could possibly be. They were saying, we'll start at 160, knowing fine well that when we do sell it won't be 160. So I think there's every potential that this deal or the bid could be submitted. I said this off camera, Joe. I think the bid could be submitted as early as tomorrow, or as even early as now. We just don't know about it. But Tottenham are very capable of stalling literally until Monday morning. They probably, I would be very surprised if they don't accept £120 million plus a few add-ons. It's a business at the end of the day, and Dan Levy's a businessman. I think even he cannot be silly enough to decline that. I mean, 12 months' time, Kane's value is going to drop. He's only got 2 years left in his contract at that stage. He'd be worth, what, maybe 80 million? And then obviously the following year, he only has 1 year left, I think it is. So he's not going to go for much then. So Levy's probably going to say to himself, listen, we get 120 million plus a few add-ons for a player that really doesn't want to be here. It's probably causing trouble for the club publicly by not turning up for training and, you know, doing those interviews with Gary Neville. It's an offer I think he'll struggle to refuse for even someone like Daniel Levy. But what I was saying was, I think the bid could be submitted as early as now or tomorrow, and then Tottenham will stall. They won't open the email until Monday morning, or they won't reply to it until Monday morning, essentially, once this fixture is complete. But to just summarise the whole day, it's looking like City are starting to apply the pressure more so than they were. A few days ago, it was a case of City are sort of waiting in the wings just to strike when the time is ready. But now they're starting to heat it up. They're starting to put the pressure on. They're going to submit another bid by the looks of it. One that seems to be far closer to Tottenham's valuation. So I'm pretty confident. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm pretty confident. I think City, based off the ruthlessness of the Jack Grealish deal, I think if they go in with the same mentality to this deal that they did with the Grealish deal, they'll get their way. City are very efficient workers, and the City transfer team, or whoever does the transfers, Fran and all those, but Fran Soriano, they're very efficient and they don't panic, is what I read today. Someone was talking about them. They don't panic. They know what they want and they know how to get it. So it seems like they know how to get Kane and they're going to get him. But listen, we thought we'd give you a quick update. Leave your thoughts down below. Is it a good price for Kane? Do you care about how much money City spend on him? I think it's a fair price. Joe, do you?
Yeah, I think it's a fair price for how good he is. I wouldn't, be against paying that for someone of his quality.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's it for now. That's the only way. That's the only news we got today. It'll probably, like I said, heat up now over the next 7 days, and we'll give you more updates. Leave a like on the video, subscribe for new, and we'll see you this weekend for City Spurs.